right, people have been asking for documentation, so let's give them documentation. Let's do filters 1 through 10 and explain them. So 1 is pretty obvious, it's a negative, right? So if we hit enter, it's going to re-invoke that filter, and it's a negative, so it's just going back and forth, right? Pretty obvious. Okay, so what about filter 2? Let's do filter 2. Okay, so it's getting kind of washed out, and we see in the vertical text here it says RGB multiply by 2.0. So the color range in PHOSIMP is -1 to +1. So -1 is like black, +1 is white, and then 0.0 is like middle gray. And so when we multiply something, that number is going to get bigger and bigger, and eventually the pixels get blown out because we're outside of that -1 to +1 range, right? The numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they start to get to like 16, 32, 64, which is like way out of the range of the normalized -1 to +1, right? So multiplying by 2 makes sense, right? Now, it probably doesn't make sense for like how Photoshop might multiply by 2, but hopefully it makes sense to you, right? Okay, so let's go on to 3. Okay, so let's use 3 a whole bunch of times. And 3 is kind of fading everything to gray. Now, you wonder why it's like fading to gray. Let's go reset. So this is the inverse, and this is divide by 2, right? And multiplication and division don't quite do what you think they would do if you're used to how multiplication and division would work in normal blending modes for other software packages, right? So when we divide by 2, with the normal color range, -1 to +1, dividing by 2 is going to make -1 into -0.5, -0.25, I don't know, 12.5, etc., etc., right? And then with the +1, you get 0.5, 0.25, 0.12.5, right? So when you divide, you get closer and closer to 0. And remember that 0 is the middle of my kind of color spectrum, right? And 0 is exactly between black and white. So if we keep on dividing, we get closer and closer to 0, and 0 is basically gray in my color spectrum, right? When all the color channels are 0, you get gray, right? So to prove that 2 and 3 are inverses, well, we can just use them, right? 2 and 2, 3 and 3, we get back to where we were. So because we use 64 bits per pixel, we can do things that Photoshop can't do, right? We can keep on doing this, and then we can go back in the other direction after the image seems to have already got blown out. And look, we get the image back. We can go in the other direction. We can kind of gray this out until it looks like kind of nothing's there, right? There's a little bit there, right? And then we can go back in the other direction, and we can get it back, right? You could not do that in Photoshop, right? Because there's only like 8 bits per pixel in Photoshop, right? So we've explained 1, which is an inverse. Then we have 2, which is the multiply the color channels by 2. Then we have dividing the color channels by 2. Put it all back together. Okay, so let's go on to filter 4 in PHOSIMP. What is this? I don't remember, honestly. Oh, the negative range filter. So the cool thing about the negative range filter is that it, well, first of all, how does the negative range filter work, and why is it looping around? The negative range filter takes the negative of the image and the positive of the image, right? And it takes the difference, the absolute value between the negative version of the pixel and the positive version of the pixel. It takes that difference, and that difference becomes the new pixel value. And that's why you're seeing like a lot of oscillation, right? Now, because it's taking the difference, we know our color range is -1 to +1, right? Well, if we take the difference and we absolute value that, then we're losing half the color spectrum, right? So like everything here is going to be kind of like high key. It's going to be on the right half of the color spectrum from 0.0 to 1.0. So you lose half of the color range, and that's why when you initially use it, right? When you initially use it, it makes this weird kind of negative-ish looking image, and you lose information, but you eventually can loop back. You never loop back to the original image, but you can do this infinitely, and you're not going to lose any information, right? So that's pretty cool, right? Okay, so let's go on to 5. Okay, so 5 right here is the channel splitter. And if we use this exactly 42 times, we can loop back to where we were, right? So if we do 5 and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 40, 41, and 42. Loops back. Now, 6 right here is the inverse of the channel splitter filter. So if we do 6, it's going in the other direction, right? So if we do 6 42 times, like we did 5, it's going to loop back. So 6, let's do it 42 times. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 2 more times, 1 and 2. And we're back where we started. Now, obviously, you probably don't want to loop around like that. So to prove their inverses, here's 5, here's 6. Okay, let's explain what 5 is. So what 5 is doing is it's taking all of the reds of the original image, putting them up in the top left. All of the greens of the original image, top right. All of the blues of the original image, bottom left here. And then all of the alphas of the original image, bottom right. But the image is opaque, so there's not any alpha information. That's why that last block is just like a solid color. So why does it kind of look like it's making the image black and white? Well, it's because pixels that are next to each other tend to have similar luminosities. So when we're scanning through this image, right, and when we're computing this top left pixel here, that top left pixel is, its 4 color channels are going to all be the red component of 4 adjacent pixels from scanning through the image. And those 4 adjacent pixels are going to be, because they're next to each other, they're going to have a similar color value. Like in a normal image, in a normal photograph or drawing or whatnot, pixels that are next to each other statistically tend to be very close in color range, right? And that's why it's black and white. Now, it doesn't have to be black and white. That's just the statistics of what's going on, right? So, for example, I can prove that, right? If we use filter 20, 20 is this filter, oh, not filter 20, 22, I think. Filter 22 makes the image 4 different colors. You can actually see it on my recording feed, but you can't see it. Oh my God, the recording this filter, you have to use it yourself. You're not seeing what's actually going on here. I'm going to zoom in here for a second, right? So that filter 22 made everything just red, green, or blue pixels, or white, right? So why am I doing filter 22 right now when I'm supposed to only be explaining like 10 filters here? Because that channel splitter, see this channel splitter, right? If we use filter 22, and then we use that channel splitter, which is 5 right here, now it's much more obvious that it's not really making things black and white, right? Because we've kind of really messed with the statistics of the image by using that filter 22 first, right? Kind of fun stuff, right? In fact, I feel like we could try to make something kind of cool here while we're here, since we kind of stumbled upon that. So I'm not going to explain all these filters. I'm just going to use these and try to make something interesting really quick. Because I do need to make designs for my new application, which is on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, I think that we kind of nuked this to hell, and there might not really be anything interesting here, but we can see what we get there. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, but I've seen stuff like this way too much. If we're lucky, maybe we can... Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. It's kind of a very concrete-ish looking texture. You know what? We could just keep that. I mean, it's not bad. Do you want to put that big X in like the middle or something like that? Something like that? I kind of like that. Okay, so now that we have this here, I have the actual numbers from my... I can't compare that like that and see. Was it really only this many steps? Maybe it was. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm looking at my other monitor, and I found the numbers that we're using. And we're going to take those numbers, and we're going to go put them into this file really quick. And we're going to make a new recipe for our new program. So first of all, I'm just going to take all these numbers that we just made in PHOSIMP, and we're going to load them into PHOFace. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to just go Control S. This is recipe.txt, right? Okay, so now that we have recipe.txt right here, see this thing right here? We're going to just overwrite a random recipe. Let's just overwrite random recipe 0 here, right? So this is recipe 0. It may just be random numbers, so it might not actually do anything interesting. I didn't actually mean to run it, but now we're running it. Okay. Okay. Are we done there? Okay. So I'm going to go into the customization menu here, and now I'm going to overwrite recipe 0 right here. And oh my God, did we crash? Did we crash? Why did we crash? I gotta go look at why we crashed. TwidX is low. TwidX is 0. Okay. Well, actually, 0 is allowed. Holy crap. Okay. So we got a little bug in the code, and we're gonna have to go fix that. So I'm gonna go get the source code here. Now, I actually write my source code on a vertical monitor, so if you're wondering why this code seems like it doesn't fit the screen, it's because code is not supposed to be on a horizontal monitor, okay? You're supposed to watch movies on a horizontal monitor. You're supposed to watch YouTube on a horizontal monitor. You are not supposed to write code on a horizontal monitor, okay? So this TwidX here, less than or equal to 0, that's not correct because we can have a recipe index that's 0, and I've probably screwed up this assertion like in a lot of places. So that kind of sucks because now I have to fix that in some places, right? So it's not less than or equal to 0, it's less than 0, right? Because, so what is TwidX? We should explain that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So TwidX stands for twiddle index, and it's basically the recipe index that I am modifying. 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of calling it recipe index, I call it TwidX, so that it's very visually distinguishable from the recipe indexes that you run in the normal program, right? So like if we're in, oh, we crashed it, so we gotta go run it. Okay, so we fixed that little bug. There's probably some more bugs. Let's go get our build script open for PHOFace. So here's a little build script here. Here's where I kind of saw that error right here. Okay, we're gonna go clear this, and we're going to rerun our build script, and then we'll go put this back on the other monitor, my vertical monitor where I keep everything. And we're going to wait for that to start up. And then we're going to try to get this recipe into the source. And while we're doing that, what have we explained so far? We've explained filter 1, 2, 3, 4. We've explained 5 and 6, right? So now we're on to filter 7. So 7 here looks pretty obvious, right? It's rotating, right? And 8 probably rotates in the other direction, right? Okay. So I don't think I need to explain rotation, right? I think rotation is pretty obvious. So we'll move on from there. Okay. So we're back here, and we're going to try to load that cool pattern we made, right? So I'm going to go here. Here's filter 0, right? So these are the recipe indexes, but I don't want to do this. I want to overwrite one of these with the customization. So how do I make a customization of this? Well, we see there's a customize thing, right? So when I go customize, all these slots say empty because none of these slots have been overwritten with a customization. Now, when I overwrite with a customization, it doesn't actually overwrite the original. This is kind of like a shadow realm of alternate versions of the original recipes. So if I hit empty here, right, these numbers are the original numbers for that recipe. And now I can kind of twiddle them and I can mess with them, right? I can make the number go up or down. I can zero it out. I can randomize it. I can zero it out, random upwards, zero it out, random downwards. I can shift the numbers up. I can shift the numbers down. A lot of cool stuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to go import. We're going to go import, and we're going to hope that we're not opening a non-safe for work file or folder. So let's just blank that out for a second. I'm going to click import because you never know where I am going to end up on here. Okay, so that's okay. That's not really incriminating. Okay, so now that we're here, we're going to go find in the delete me. I have a non-safe for work folder. Whatever, let's not worry about it. Okay, it's just cleavage. Technically, it's not. I mean, it says not safe for work, but I'm pretty sure that's not. See, I shouldn't even bring attention to it. We just, anyways. So we're going to look for the recipe. I just called it recipe.txt, right? So here's recipe.txt. We're going to open that up. Okay, so now if we run recipe.txt, it should make this should look familiar from earlier, right? But it's a different image, right? Because we used the image on the left last time. Now we're using the image on the right. But that's good because sometimes things are so different that if you use a different image, you don't get anything that looks that interesting. So that looks much less interesting than last time. I do wonder if I'm like missing something. There's a good way to find that out though, right? We can go back for a second. We have that modification, right? We're gonna go back to the main menu. We're gonna go load something different, right? We're gonna load the original image that we were using when we did that and just see what happens. So where is that? Where's that original image? It's in a folder somewhere called bug. Where's my bug folder? Oh, here's my bug folder. Okay, so it was this image, right? Okay, so now we're gonna use this image and we're gonna go into the customization menu. Here's customization 1 where we loaded that recipe. And we're just gonna run it again and see if we get what we had over at the left, or if I may have missed a step somewhere. We'll find out. We're about to find out, right? Because if it doesn't look exactly like, okay, I feel like we're missing something, right? It's not as pronounced as I remember it being. So I'm gonna go look at faux face and 22. That's really strange here. 111 was not the last thing we used, was it? I feel like it wasn't. I'm looking at the logs and I don't really like what I'm seeing here. 240, 240, 311. 111, was there 111 really? 100, okay, sorry, I'm looking at the logs. This can't be, this doesn't make any sense, because if I shuffled the pixels, this is like a pixel shuffler, and then this is like me kind of panning the canvas. There's no, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Okay, so let's go audit the, let's go back to what the recipe, so we have 22 and a whole bunch of 5s and a 19. And then we end on like 240 and 240. Oh, maybe. Oh, I see what the mistake is. Okay, let's go back. Okay, we can't overwrite this. We have to overwrite a larger recipe. Larger recipe, right? Okay, so, whatever we did here was more than 16 steps, so we need a larger recipe slot. So let's go import here. Okay, so now we're gonna go look for recipe. I see what happened. Yeah, now we're gonna go load this recipe. And now if we run it, we're probably gonna see something quite different. Why is there so many 32s there? Oh yeah, because we kind of panned it around. Okay, let's just run it. Let's just run it. Okay, so now I'm gonna expect something a little bit different because we truncated some of the steps, right? Obviously the loading menu looks a little bit different. That 17 blur takes forever. I think we might want to replace it with something else. All right, okay, that looks much better. Okay, so I like that. That's pretty cool. I think we should like add that to the software, right? Okay, so if we're gonna add that to the software, we need to take these numbers and first of all, these numbers are kind of ugly as hell. So what we could do here is we could re-export this, right? If we re-export what we have here, it should end up making it look better. So I'm just gonna call this recipe.txt, right? I'm gonna overwrite the file that's open on the left, okay? Do I wanna replace it? I sure do, right? Now if I click here, it's gonna ask me to reload. I'm gonna reload it. Okay, so now that's much nicer. Now I remember that there was that like 17 blur right here, and it was taking a long time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the 17 and I'm going to put some other blurs in here that I thought were, that I know will take a little less time, right? So we could blur it with a horizontal and vertical blur again. And then we could put like a 377 in the middle and then a 019. Okay, so instead of 17, we're going to do a slight blur, a horizontal blur, another slight blur, and then a vertical blur. And I'm going to space these quicker blurs right here between these slower blurs, and this should feel better. I kind of want to avoid blur 17 in my code just because I know it takes a long time and it kind of wrecks the experience, right? So we're going to go see how that looks, right? So I'm gonna zero this out just so that I can tell things are being imported. I'm gonna go hit import, and I'm gonna go find that recipe because I just modified it, right? So recipe right here, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna go run this, and we're just gonna see, hey, how much does this will change the output, right? By substituting a horizontal and vertical blur, instead of using that very expensive box blur 17, it is gonna change things, but how much does it change things, and does it change things for the worst, or like, what do we feel about that, right? So it definitely looks different. Not in a way that I'm super unsatisfied with. I do think that maybe this 19 here, we could do like we could throw an 18 in here, right? We could just throw another blur in here. And the parsing is really flexible, so if I just put this here to remind myself it's there, that should be fine. Let's go back, and let's zero this out just so I can tell that the import is working. I'm going to import the recipe again, so recipe.txt right here. We're going to import that, we're going to run it. And we're just going to see what it looks like, right? We're going to see if we're totally unsatisfied, or, I mean, hopefully it's not complete crap and it has a similar vibe to what we just did, because I've lost my... I lost track a little bit, right? Oh, a little bit more angular. I kind of like that look. I kind of like that. I kind of see this kind of this tile kind of thing going on here. Okay, so now the thing is that, okay, that's kind of a cool, interesting texture. But that's 50, right? We overrided 50. But we want to make sure that it doesn't do anything drastically different with different images, right? So we're going to take our other test image here, and we're just going to go back to that customization menu and use that filter we loaded, and we're going to run it. We should get something very similar, but different, right? Because we have a different photo input, but we're running all the same steps, right? Now, the cool thing with this is that you can make like texture sets, right? You find a cool texture, you make a cool thing, and then you use different photos and you get different outputs, right? So this is actually quite different, right? It has a similar vibe to it, but you can tell it's quite different than that other photo, right? Now, we could try like one more thing, right? Just to make sure that these two images are pretty good for making sure that we have variance. But, you know, we could do one more thing. If we want to see what we're looking at, we can do this kind of show hide right here. Okay, so we're going to go back to the customization menu. It's that filter 50. And we're going to run that one more time. And if I like what I see here, if I'm like, you know what, I'm satisfied, blah, 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 then we'll ship it. We'll be like, you know what, this is going to be one more effect in our software package, right? Okay. All right, you know what? That is totally different, right? That is so different, right? Like the last two are like just this solid yellow color, and all of a sudden we have like red, green, and blue. But the thing is that I can still see something. Right? We didn't get like a black image, right? Do we want to try one more thing? Let's try one more thing. Okay, let's go load. And let's go, we should just really we're going to take this dog right here. Okay, we're going to go to the customization menu. We're going to go right here. We're going to run that. Okay, we're going to see what that looks like, right? So there is like an element of chaos to PHOSIMP. You know, the whole like butterfly effect of like a butterfly flaps its wings in Texas, and now there's a hurricane in Florida. Okay, you know what? I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm getting some cool stuff. There is a lot of variance, but that's the cool thing, where it's like, you don't know what's going to happen when you put your image in. You know you're going to get something cool, but you don't know exactly what. So now imagine that eventually one day we'll make another piece of software where you throw in an animated image. And imagine if we could like make morph targets between these 4 different images and then put them through this filter recipe, and then just make some weird kaleidoscopic morphing psychedelic animation. I want to go in that direction eventually, but it ain't happening right now. Okay, so I'm liking this. We need to find a slot that we can use for that though, right? So a lot of these slots I've already used, or actually, I think I've been working backwards as I've been designing this. That page isn't even valid, so I don't know why that's there. I have to fix that, because there should only be 3 pages of recipes. So here's the source code for PhoFace, and here's our recipes, and here's our recipe array. So inside of recipes, if we go look around, We have all these different recipes. Here's recipe 0, right? But some of these are just like randomly generated number bullshit, right? So we need to find a recipe that does not have one of these tags, because that may be random bullshit, right? It might not be random bullshit. Like this looks very intentional, right? So we need to kind of keep on scrolling up and doing an audit of these different numbers. And every time I audit one of these things, if I like what I see and it works with multiple images and makes something cool, then we'll make a little tag here that explains what it does. Like this one's called tripping on acid in the bathroom, right? We'll keep on going up until we find the next free slot. Once we find that next free slot, we will put the new recipe design that we made right here. So I got like 2 different things open. Let's close this JavaScript version of PHOSIMP and this little random notes thing. Do we really need this open? Let's close that as well. Okay, so we got why do we like, is it, oh my god, Notepad++ is doing something evil. Okay, well, we lost our recipe, but that's fine because we can just okay, let's go open it up on here. Okay, so desktop, delete me, and then let's call it recipe.txt. All right, Notepad++. Okay, so this is what we want to load in the source code, right? And we don't really need this source code open right now, so let's close that. This is our UI library. This could be incriminating. Let's close that for now. This could also be incriminating. It's not really incriminating, but my address is in that file, so maybe we don't want to accidentally show that on a recording. I just remember that I'm like streaming, but am I streaming? I might not be streaming. I'm not streaming. Never mind. Okay, so let's go back to PhoFace. 289. Okay, 289 is what we should just, we should just do this. Okay. Our source code is designed for a vertical monitor, so we might as well just split it and not waste all that screen space, because now this looks a little more interesting, right? Okay, so 289. Okay, so we need to go re-invoke the build script for PhoFace because we crashed it. PhoFace is not released yet, so it's okay that it's kind of crashing here and there because I'm still working on it. Okay, so we're going to... I just realized you can pause recording, so I can like get up and go do shit. We could pause this while we're waiting for it to build. All right, unpause. Okay, because now it's built. Okay, we're gonna dock this over to the right, and we want to figure out. So 299 here, I know already does something, and we were looking at our source code. Let's move our source code over to this side. Okay, so 289. Okay, so 289 is this one right here. Let's run 289, see what it looks like. If we like 289, then we'll give it a description. We'll move up to the next unclaimed slot, and we'll just keep doing this, right? So if we like what we see, it doesn't have to be amazing. It just has to be distinct and different from the other things that we've made. That looks pretty cool. Okay. So let's go load a different image though, right? Because crazy different things can sometimes happen with different images, and you've kind of seen that, right? So if we use 289 here, so this is 289 right here. So we're using the exact same steps, the exact same filters, but now on a totally different image. And we just want to make sure that the chaos doesn't result in a black screen or like a white screen, because that can happen sometimes, right? Like the colors are totally different here. Okay, I like that. That still looks good. Okay, 3 times the charm. Let's go load one more thing, and then if we like what it looks like with this, then we're pretty safe to say that if you put an image in here for this recipe, you're gonna get something that has this kind of feel and it looks cool. That's all we care about, right? We actually do want the output to be different depending on if you put different photos in, right? Okay, so totally different. I'm liking it. I'm really liking that right now. So I don't know what to call it. But we'll make up a name, right? So this is a tag for recipe 289. And I don't know. I don't know. It's um, I don't know, micro watermark tiles with 4. I don't know. You know, the thing is that like a lot of what we're doing is going to be like abstract art. So we make something up, micro watermark tiles and 4 quads. Sure, whatever, okay? So we have this little watermark thing, 289. We see the 289 right here, so we know it's filter 289. That's why I put a 289 here, because like as you're doing this, you're like, oh, that's really cool. What number did I press? I have no clue, right? That's why the 289 is here to kind of remind you, right? So we'll grab onto this 290 tag right here, and we'll go find it. And now we'll add the 289 tag. So this is like, I'm creating kind of like documentation as we go. So like, I don't know how useful these strings describing the patterns are, but you know, we're gonna do that, right? So micro watermark 4 quad tiles, something, right? It's like, are these names absolute bullshit? They sure are. They sure are absolute bullshit. But the thing is that we got to give something a name, right? Okay, so now if we grab onto this, okay, cool. So now we have this little comment here that tells me, hey, buddy, you've thought about this, you've tested it, you've messed with it. This number, 289, is forever going to be this design, right? So 289 here is the recipe. And then these numbers are not recipes. These numbers are the individual filters that are executed, right? Now these double, triple, quadruple, super many underscores, those are just blank spaces. Those end up being zeros, like filter 0. And filter 0 does nothing, by the way. That's just because like I don't always need to use all 64 filters in these recipes. And so as I'm working on stuff, I give myself little empty spaces so I can like insert things and delete things until I get something that looks cool, right? And you might be looking at this and being like, oh, bro's just pressing numbers. Kind of true, but kind of false at the same time. Because if you've bought my software and you've messed with it, you realize, oh my God, I make it a lot easier than it actually is. I was thinking about making like a fake random, like right now you can randomly generate numbers. And usually what you make when you randomly generate numbers is like complete trash. And I was thinking, but I could fake it because I know that like if we mix a random blur with a random gradient ramp and then like a random edge detect, I know if we do those things in that order that we're going to get something cool, right? But then I'm like, yeah, but if I do that, then people aren't going to appreciate the fact that if you truly spam random numbers, you're going to get shit, right? And then people might not appreciate how hard it is to actually make something cool, right? So PHOFace here is basically a recipe book for PHOSIMP, right? And I know we're taking a break because we need to still explain filter 9 and filter 10. And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But I have a feeling that these videos are not going to get views. And so I want to, oh my God, we broke it again. I have a feeling that these videos are not going to like get views, so I want to also get work done while I'm doing it. And I thought like, okay, long form content because nothing gets views and blah, 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 Instagram, something. I'm going to upload this to YouTube, right? And I know that the content that I make for Instagram does not do well on YouTube, right? So as I'm kind of thinking about what to do for YouTube, I'm like, you know what, we could try, that's too high. We could try to just do something and something different. And people have been begging me for documentation, and the reason I haven't really spent much time doing documentation is because the videos that are just documentation, they don't really get views. And I need views to make sales. And I know that people want documentation, but they only want documentation because they bought my software because they saw my software do cool stuff. Do I want to spend my time making my software do cool stuff on video so that more people buy my stuff, or do I want to make documentation that's boring the hell out of people, you know? That looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, I make a lot of stuff that looks like that, so I don't know if I want to keep on keeping on with that, but why is there so much filter index too high? Can't compare like that. I really need to make a note for the reset button here. Okay, so that's interesting. We're gonna have to open up another notepad somewhere because we might put that in later. So we were looking at the source code, and why did I have this? Oh, because yeah, okay. We're looking at the source code, and it looks like 288 is something we're going to try to run, and that is right here. And I think we may have already ran 288, but then like the program crashed on me because whatever. Okay, so this actually looks pretty cool. So this is definitely something I hand designed. I kind of vaguely remember it from a while ago. That weird artifacting in the middle kind of looks stupid. Like it was looking cool, and then it got wrecked. I'm okay with that though, right? Because the thing is that like with 288, right? This is 288. If you're like, oh, that's shit, you know, you should have stopped while you're ahead, right? Well, then you can go to the customize menu, and you got to find the 288, right? So find the 288 in this empty slot. We can read the 288 from that little display that was up here when our mouse was down here, right? And then, you know, we can say, oh, these last few steps are bullshitting it, right? Unfortunately, I need a button to like zero these out, because to zero this out right now, I gotta like go like this. Or we could like export to file, modify the file, and then import it, instead of mess with this stupid ass editor that I made. And you might be like, well, why does this editor suck so much? Well, I wanted to design an editor that didn't require typing numbers with the keyboard, because everybody's like, oh, PHOSIMP, this is way too complicated. I have to type stuff to make stuff happen. Well, here you go. Here's a dumbed down UI where you don't have to type shit. Yeah, so PhoFace is actually me just trying to make things even simpler than PHOSIMP. And I think it's going to have some unique stuff to offer with this editor feature that I've added. But some stuff needs some work, because look how long this has taken. This is some bull fucking shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Well, I know I'm allowed to swear, but I don't know if my views are gonna like. YouTube can be quite authoritarian when it comes to like swear words, right? But hey, I guess as long as we don't mention any police states that are doing genocides, we'll be okay, right? Okay, so now that I deleted the bottom stuff, I'm gonna run this again, right? Okay, well, we're running on a different image, so... No, we ran this... Okay, so yeah, we have this kind of cool thing going on here. Like, I kind of like this right here, right? And we kind of see where we stopped, right? So yeah, I feel like because you're seeing it kind of be made in front of your eyes, you can edit it and then get this out, right? If you really like this part right here, and you're like, Kanji, you always wreck the stuff you make where you should have stopped while you're ahead. Well, guess what? If you are like watching one of these recipes animate and you're like, you should have stopped while you're ahead, then you can go edit it to your heart's content, and you can undo the damage that I have done. Okay, so this is 288, right? And I don't know, grid of quantum dots, too many FX bro, right? Too many FX bro, because we should have stopped while we were ahead, right? So grid of quantum dots, because I'm looking at this and it kind of reminds me of like an electron probability cloud, you know, like the thing that came after Bohr's model in like chemistry or whatnot. So anyways, now that we have this name here, and we know that this pattern is actually like good, that this is shipping, we're going to take that number and we're going to go make an official entry into our source code, right? So that was 288, right? So in our array of display names, it was, I don't know, grid of quantum dot cells. Okay, that's not exactly what I, TME for too many effects. We'll just say dot cells like that, because we're over the limit, right? This is the max number of characters. Why is it 28 characters max? Is because I'm going to display this in a bitmap font, and it's going to be 16 by 16 per character, and there's a certain amount of padding I want on the UI. So 28 characters it is for these display names. Okay. So we're going to put this right here, right? This little commentary right here. We can grab onto this now, and we can go back and forth between the display name in here and the actual source code for that, right? So that's nice. Okay, so we're going to go up to 287 now, and we're going to go try that out, right? So we're going to go back to the main menu. 287 is right here. Let's go check out 287, see what that looks like, and see if we like it, right? If we like it, we keep it. If we don't like it, we're going to overwrite it with that recipe we made earlier today, right? This kind of looks like trash. Yeah, I mean, it looks like trash, but it's different, right? Oh, no, that's also good. That's also good. It's not the best because I know that, like, there's this texture that's not going to change no matter what image you use for that. I just know already because I've messed with this a little bit yesterday. So like if we use this, we're not going to get as much variance. 287 was 287, right? So some designs are more chaotic than others. So I know that what's about to get spat out from here is going to look very similar. It is going to be different, but it's not going to be distinct. So, but that's the fun of it, right? The chaos is kind of like the fun of it, right? So I can definitely see that right there. We had something that looked really cool, and then we totally changed it, right? So I can see people being like, you wrecked it again, you went too far, right? Well, because there's an editor, you can go edit that, right? But I know this is hand designed, and let's just give it a display name, right? So that's 287, right? So 287 is like it's low variance, what do you call those lights? Not Abora lights, Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis. I can't fucking spell that. Bora. That's what we'll call this. Low variance Rara Bora Bora. Why? Because all these names are bullshit, and really all we care is that the name is unique, right? Low variance Rara Bora Bora, right? Okay, so with this 287 here that we just checked out, we're gonna go find where that needs to go. Okay, so 287. So we're gonna go 287 right here, and we're gonna call this low variance rar bora bora, right? Okay, because I'm not going to spell Aurora Borealis, and even if I could spell Aurora Borealis, it probably wouldn't even fit in the source code. So yeah. So people wonder like why all my variables are like really terse and short. It's because I can't fucking spell, right? And I'm not gonna deal with a whole bunch of syntax errors because I can't fucking spell, and then I spell the variable 2 different ways in 2 different places, and then I'm banging my head up against a fucking wall because I'm like, why the fuck isn't this code working? Oh, it's because I spelled the variables different. I'm not gonna waste my fucking time like that. And why the fuck is, speaking of typing things differently, why is this not taking me anywhere? Okay, let's go grab onto the 288. 287 comes before 288, right? I'm not like losing my goddamn mind, am I? 288, 287. Oh, because this is just 287. There's no R for recipe, right? We want that R because otherwise it's not going to be a unique token in the code, right? Like if we just grab onto 287, right? We're gonna end up like all over the fucking place, right? We're gonna end up like all over the fucking place. We don't want that, right? We want something that brings us back and forth between those 2 exact places, and that's why the R is there, right? So there's a lot of like unique tokens so that we can kind of use our source code in a very like, it's like a hyperlink. It's like a poor man's hyperlink in my source code so that I can jump around the source code really quickly even though I don't have a fancy, super expensive editor, right? Lowest common denominator, super low tech. Now you might be wondering like, well, why do you want to be low tech? Because like if I ever end up homeless, I want to be able to go to the fucking library and write source code, right? if you have a cool, super awesome tech bro setup, good luck going to the library and maintaining your code if you ever end up homeless. But this isn't something that a lot of programmers worry about because they're all making super good salaries, right? So like that's the reason I don't use GitLab anymore, right? So GitLab basically made it impossible to author source code anonymously. So like if you end up in a really bad financial situation where like you're homeless and you want to write some code, it ain't gonna happen for you, right? Because GitLab has basically made it so you have to have a cell phone in order to write code, right? And people who are rich, right, don't understand the strife of the poor, right? It's like they don't even see that, they don't even understand why that's a problem, right? Like being required to own a cell phone so I can write code is a problem. Now, obviously, I guess I have to own a computer to write code, or do I? Because public library, right? Okay, this looks pretty badass. I'm liking this. I definitely remember designing this one as well because I wanted to make some like weird patterns that kind of were like had the negative space around them. It's not the best thing, but it's interesting, right? And the idea is that with this, I want to make different patterns that all kind of do something different and crazy, right? So this is 286 here, 286, and I don't know, crazy mounted square box, scary square box. We need less characters. How do we just call it evil? Okay, almost. Scary square box. Do we just want to call it evil mounted and then SSB for scary square box? Or we could just call it scary square like that. Or we could say SQR for square. Or we could just call it square box, because we don't have enough letters for the E. Square box. We can just do that, because you know what? That's going to annoy the shit out of people who are grammar Nazis, who are like, you gotta spell shit correctly, blah, blah, blah. Now, I can kind of understand being a grammar Nazi because you need social order to, like, maintain your culture, right? Like, if you want to maintain English, we have to agree that these words are pronounced a certain way and they're spelled a certain way. And if you let that decay to one extreme, right, of grammar libertarian, then you're going to get in trouble. But if you go grammar Nazi, you're also getting in trouble, right? Moderation. Don't be an extremist, okay? Be reasonable. If you want to be an extremist, then you can be a computer, okay? Computers are extremists, but we are human. So don't be a goddamn extremist, okay? Okay, so evil, spooky, mounted, square box. Yeah, something like that, right? That's not exactly, this isn't exactly the same text, but this has underscores and the other stuff doesn't have underscores, so I'm not going to give a fuck, right? This is the unique ID, right? Boom, 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 286, right? Okay, so now the next thing is like 285 up here. Ooh, this must be a marker for like the division between randomly generated bullshit and what I'm actually designing. So this looks like it's probably the last thing I designed. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so that's like 285. Okay, so 285, this font is a little bit too small. Oh well, 285. Let's go 285 right here. Okay, so 285 is doing some stuff, and how do we feel about that? Well, we should probably feel good about it because we designed it and we decided it was good enough to leave there, so let's see how we feel about it. Right now I'm feeling kind of meh about this, but, you know, it's not all the way through yet, so let's keep on looking at it. Okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay, sure, why not? Okay, so let's go load something different, right? Let's go see, let's just make sure that if we use it with something else, right? So this is 285 right here. If we use it with something else, do we still get something that has a similar feel? Or do we end up getting like a black or white screen? That's what I'm really worried about, because there is a lot of chaos in here, and sometimes something that gets a really cool pattern with one image will just get a black or white screen. And there's ways I can prevent that by like injecting little color correction codes in the recipe to make sure that it's more predictable with different image inputs, because this looks a lot different, yeah? Okay, let's do you want to do one more? Let's go load the, so we use, I forget which one of these we have used already, so we're just going to use this dog. Okay, so let's do that 285, and as long as, 3 times is a charm, if we still get something that has a similar feel, then we'll call that good. Now, I don't know. Oh, that's quite different. That's okay. So, we have to give it a name. I don't know what the name we're gonna use for this is. The colors are all over the place. I feel like this application would be great for colorblind people because it's like we just don't care. We just don't care about the color. Oh, that's so okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm kind of okay. Similar vibe for all 3 of those, and okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So we're gonna call this recipe 285, and then I don't know, yucky neon spaghetti. I don't know how to spell spaghetti, but it's yucky neon spaghetti. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the list of display names that I made. And honestly, like this list of display names, I don't know if I'm ever going to implement it in the user interface. It was really just to me make a checklist because I was kind of losing track of spaghetti. I was kind of losing track of like which things were bullshit and which things were designed by me. And before we release the software, we have to have, this list needs to be 300 things because I decided I was going to like hand design 300 patterns. And then once we have 300 patterns, we'll be ready to like release this, right? Okay, so we're gonna go back to main. So before 285 is gonna be like some randomly generated nonsense. Now this randomly generated nonsense might actually look cool, right? And if it does look cool and I really like it, we'll ship it. Do I like that? I absolutely don't like that. It looks stupid. Now, you might like it because you haven't messed with this program much, and that might look cool to you, and that's fine. But it doesn't hit my quality standard for what I want to release here. So that was 284 right there, right? So because 284 ain't looking good, we're going to go to customize. We're going to find that 284. So this was 284 right there, okay? We can run 284 one more time and just make sure that we are in the correct slot, and we are. And then I'm going to zero out everything, and I'm going to go import. And we want to import this thing, right? Oh my God, has it really been that long? Have we really taken that? Yes, we have taken that long to do this, right? Because I'm looking for an empty spot to put it in, right? Okay, well, we found our empty spot, right? So let's go import that recipe. Recipe.txt, where is it? Right there? Okay, open that up. Okay, let's run that. So why am I importing it instead of immediately embedding it in the source code? Because I'm a dumbass, because we already formatted the goddamn numbers, right? So why am I here, right? Okay, so assuming that is going to look good, let's clean this up a bit. We don't really want to take up all this room in the source code, so let's get rid of these empty spots. The empty spots were really just to make it easier for you to edit the text file and look at it, but now that we're kind of here, I'm not really, yeah. I feel like I really should take the time to like do this, right? To like separate these out because we less lines of code, right? We can have the lines of code and we can still we don't have to specify the zeros though. I mean, we could, so that we know how many, oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 by 8. Okay, we'll put the 0 there. Okay. So this is not valid source code, by the way, because if we want it to be valid source code, we got to put like the fucking like little things between it, right? And then also we have the double spacing again. I thought we just got rid. Okay, whatever. Let's not lose our chill about it. Okay, so we're gonna take these commas and we're just going to inject them in between here like that. And then I do kind of like that we have this nice little square. Like I'm liking that. Okay, so now let's go into faux face. Let's grab onto this and Control F parkour back down to here. Okay, so here's this thing that's kind of marking. Okay, this is bullshit. We're nuking the bullshit and we're putting this in, right? And originally, like, I was gonna use these kind of macros so that it would be easy to know that this is like a filter number. That's what this number is. And these are just like, oh my god, that's right. Oh, fuck. So all this is zero padding. Oh, is that why I did that? Because if we have the double underscores, we don't have to worry about the zero padding because I have the macros. But now the problem is that if we do that, these end up we took all that time to format it, and then it's like, oh yeah, if we do the double underscores around everything, now this ends up too long, because you see how there's 4 things here, right? Like, there was a reason for that, right? Because of that. Crappity crap. Okay, so what are we going to do about that? I'll tell you what we're going to do about that. We're going to go export this again. We're going to go re-export. And we're going to go find recipe.txt or whatnot. We'll just call this recipe.txt. I really got to change this as PNG files, but this is obviously a text file, right? Do I want to replace it? Yes, I do. Okay, so now here's recipe.txt. I'm going to reload it. And we're going to do that all over again. We're going to do that all over again. Another way we could deal with it is we could... I want to deal with it in a way that reduces the amount of bullshit time that I'm spending. So if I go underscore underscore here, right? I take these double underscores and I just go bam, double underscore, comma, and then more double underscores, right? And then I just take this kind of design here and I just throw it in here, right? And then I need one more strip of double underscores on the end. So now I got these specialized tokens, right? And then we'll take this and we'll go into here, and we'll go load that into here, right? Okay, there we go, there we go. Okay, so now we're gonna put our lax commas in the front, and now everything is kind of nicely formatted, right? Okay, so this little marker here, I am gonna keep this marker here of like, right? Because that's like a template, right? Like when I'm hand editing the code, this was my template, right? Okay, so now this is kind of ready. Now, I want to show you something kind of cool, though, right? This right here, because my parser is, like, really chill, is really lax, I could paste this into the recipe.txt, and I bet my code would correctly parse this. Maybe, maybe not. We can find out, though, right? So we can zero this out, and recipe.txt, we can reload that, right? So we can go import, and we can go recipe. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be unhappy and I might have to fix it, but let's try. Recipe.txt. There we go. That all looks right? The last 8 things are zeros. This is 8. These are all 0 here at the end. Then we have a whole bunch of like 32s. Here's our 32s. And then we have some 33s. Here's our 33s. And then here's like where all work is getting done, and we can see that. Okay, looks good. Okay. So, and that was the thing that was like, okay, so let's compile this into the source code, right? Let's close this. We're going to close that, and we're going to go compile that. And while we're compiling it, we need to add the commentary, right? Okay, this is 284 here. So we're going to go recipe, and we're going to go R284, and often yellow spooky tiles. I'm going to say often yellow spooky tiles because a lot of times it's making these yellow tiles, but it's not always making yellow. And this says 0377 is undeclared. Why is that? So, well, let's see. What do we do for our little things here? So I see we have like a 0300 with double underscores. So 0377 is not declared. What probably happened is I only made enough of these to like get the stuff done, and then I didn't do the rest or something, right? So if we like find where I'm declaring this, it's like, yeah, I didn't go all the way up. Are these in like clusters of 10? What's going on here? 280, 289, 290, 300. Okay, yeah. So we're going in sets of 10, and we're starting with the zeroth thing on the beginning, right? Yeah, 270, 280. Okay, sure. So we're gonna go duplicate this 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we'll go 299, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I see where this is going. And that's a lot of cutting and pasting. Let's go Control-Alt, F2, Control-0. I'm going to put 2 breakpoints here because we're about to, like, this is kind of a lot of cutting and pasting and ridiculousness, and should it all be in this same file? Well, it is. Too bad, right? So today is a evergreen day. Today is evergreen day. You know why? Because if I tell you the actual date that this was recorded on, that wrecks the evergreenness of the content. So we're not going to tell you what today is, even though you could probably see on my clock somewhere. Okay, so we need to kind of duplicate this a few times because we got to get up to like 277, and there's like this 1111. Do we just want to use ChatGPT and be like, hey, generate the rest of these numbers up to 1000? We could do that. That's kind of what I've been doing. It's like you use ChatGPT to code. Yeah, not in any sophisticated way, right? Like it's not like I really don't tell it to write me anything of like that requires. If I only make ChatGPT do things that somebody who is completely mentally deficient with an IQ of under 80 can do. Okay, if somebody if it can't be done with a person of an IQ of 80, I'm not going to make GPT do it, right? Basically, GPT is just the intern, right? GPT is not the boss. GPT is the intern that gets the busy work so that I can focus on more important stuff, right? So GPT is just grep on steroids for me, right? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this stuff right here, and we'll go find like Chrome or something, right? We'll go find Chrome, and we'll go find some GPT, and we'll go open up our GPT. And now we're really taxing our processor. Do we just want to close this for a little bit? We'll close that for a little bit, right? We got too much stuff open. Okay, so we'll go find GPT. Let's just say GPT chat, and we'll find... How long have we been recording for? For a goddamn hour. We got recording for a goddamn hour, and we still got to explain those last 2 filters, but I'm like, hey, if I explain those last 2 filters in some random spot in the video, then people have to seek through it and engage with the content. Okay, so this is in the undef section, huh? Okay, continue this pattern to let's not ask it to do too much because it'll be like it won't, first of all. If you ask it to go up to 1000, it's not going to do it, so why waste your time? Can I just not see the X button on my computer? Is this just gonna fucking stay open? Like, where is the fucking X? Oh, it's like right here. It's like right in the fucking middle. That's weird. Whatever. Okay, it's my fault. I added that. I'm the one who added that add-on. So it's like, it's my fault. Whatever. Okay, so you can see that we're undefining all this stuff, which means that it also has to be defined. So you can see how some of the stuff I do is very time-consuming busy work, and it's like, is this the way I should be spending my time, right? You know, I don't fucking know, okay? I don't have all the answers. Okay, so right here, we're gonna go down here, we're gonna hit enter, and we're going to, okay, so we're undeffing 320, 329, 330, 339, 340, 349. By the way, even asking GPT to generate code like this is very untrivial is actually dangerous because I swear to God, because I've done enough of this to where GPT will like, I swear to God, it's been like programmed to like randomly inject mistakes. Using GPT to check your code for mistakes is a much better use than even this mindless code generation that I'm doing here. This is still kind of risky, right? But anyways, so like spot checking it here and there is a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to, actually let's just tell it to continue. Continue to 500, right? Let's just ask it to do like kind of chunks of 100, and then hopefully it's adding that space. Good, it's adding a little space. And once we have it up to the maximum filter index, there is a maximum filter index in PHOSIMP. This is a great reminder of how many filters I've made. It's like 1,000 doesn't seem like that big of a number until you have to just list everything out. And this is also like, you see how long this is taking? This is also why there's not like a video documentation for like every single filter, because look how long it's going to take, right? We still have to do filters 9 and 10, like explain filters 9 and 10 in this video. But you can see that this video is also like a work session, right? Where it's like, I'm working here. Okay, let's paste that there. And then let's move this back together, right? So everything starts with the 0 at the beginning, right? So 400, 409, 410, 419, 420, 429, blah, 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 blah. Okay, looking good, looking good, looking good. And then we want to now continue to 600. Let's say continue to 700. Why? Because I know I'm risking it, and it might stop. It might say, blah, 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 do you want me to continue? And then it's like, okay, well, I just wasted my time, right? So yeah, GPT, if you give it too big of a task, it will always like stop and be like, I don't know what it'll say. It'll say some bullshit, but let's see if we can get it to go 500 to 700. I don't know like how it decides when it's doing too much stuff, but if you've used GPT, you kind of know that. If you make it do too much work, it'll just make up an excuse as to why it's going to stop and wait for you to say to keep on going, right? Which I guess makes sense, because like if you made it, it would be like if it didn't do that, you could basically fork bomb GPT, right, and just make it spin forever and forever, right? You could just be like count from 1 to infinity, right? And if it didn't stop, you can see how that might be a problem, right? You might take down a data center. Which I guess that's kind of what people are doing when they make two like AI agents talk to each other, right? Okay, is it just me, or is it getting slower? Is it getting slower? Is it throttling me? I feel like I'm getting throttled right now. I'm getting throttled. So I feel like maybe we should have just told it to like write a script to write this pattern, and then we could do the script. But then we'd have to open up a bash script and then like print it out to a file, and then like, you know, sometimes like being efficient is difficult, because sometimes like if you spend too much time being efficient or figuring out, if you spend too much time trying to figure out the most efficient way to do something, by the time you figure out the most efficient way to do it, you could have already been done, right? So knowing when to optimize things and when to just bite the bullet, it's not easy. It's not easy. Okay. So we got away with it. It kind of throttled us a bit, but that's fine, right? So we'll continue to, well, let's push our luck. Let's push our luck again, right? Continue to 999. The reason I'm going to tell it to continue to 999 and not to 1000 is because 1000 is shifting how many digits are used, right? We have 3 digits that have information in them, and once we jump to 4 digits with information in them, I'm not confident that GPT will be able to handle that to my liking. So I will have to hand do a few of these after we copy this response, and then we will do it in whatever style we think is appropriate, right? Okay, so we paste that there. We're going to save, and we're going to scroll up here. It seemed to have done that a lot faster. I don't know why. Okay, so 700, 7 blah, blah, blah. Okay, 710, 720, 730, 740, 750, 760, 770, 80, 90, 800. Okay, so this needs to be fixed. Okay, 800, 1, 2, okay, counting, okay, 809, 810, 820, 829, 830, 840, 850, 860, 870, 880, 890, 900, 910, 920, 930, 940, 950, 960, 970, 980, 990. Okay, so this is 10 things, right? This goes from 0 to 9, right? This goes from 0 to 9. So the pattern is correct here. And the next thing is we know we want the next number here. That next number is going to be 1,000, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Then I'm going to take the last digit from here, and I'm going to paste it here, right? So 1,000 to 1,009. And then we're going to take this random commentary. We're going to put it here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this. And we're pretty close to the maximum filter index. So like in our source code, if we want to find the maximum filter index, here's our PHOSIMP. And it's at the top here. Maximum filter index is 1290, right? So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say continue to 1290, right? Why is Shift Enter not working here? Continue to 1290. Hit Enter. Okay, so we're going to continue that to 1290, and then guess what? We still have to create the defines for this as well. So it's going to be the same exact process. And is this cumbersome and repetitive? And yeah, it is. It is. But the reason that I'm doing this is because whenever I have it with this specific source file, if I have an underscore underscore, a 4-digit number, and an underscore underscore, I know that that is a filter code. I absolutely know it's a filter code. Why do I know it's a filter code? Because I have made this convention in my source code in this file, and I'm sticking to that convention, right? It's just about like being able to immediately know what I'm looking at, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So anyways, we're gonna go back to PhoFace, and we're gonna go paste right here. Let's go Control-Alt-Shift-F2, Control-0. Let's put 2 breakpoints here. These are the only breakpoints in the file. And the reason I'm doing that is because this could be a lot of stuff. Okay, so 1290 right here. And then we're going to scroll up. And I already see some inconsistencies. We're going to backspace. So we started at 0. We go 0 to 9, right? 0 to 9, etc., right? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, right? 90. Okay, here's some weird shit. So, like, why the fuck did I do this, right? Why did I fucking just decide, like, why, right? So, okay, 9 things, okay? 9 things, right? 9 things, right? 9 more things. I keep on saying 9 things, but it's 0 to 9, which is 10 things. Fence post problem. Anyways, this is looking good, right? So we're just going to keep on scrolling through it and spot checking it. Are we going to, if it injected some bugs, I'm not going to notice, but I'm kind of confident that I could recover from it if it tried to quietly fuck me over. Okay, so these little misc numbers were because I was lazy and didn't do all this stuff. So if I grab onto this, we're probably going to see an undef for this somewhere now, right? Yeah, it's right here now. So, and this one should be in the code now, right? Okay, so that's there. Okay. So all these numbers, we can just get rid of this weird scraggly slacken undef. Okay. So now all these things that we added here, this is the undef, right? And we need to define them as well. Now, I made this little marker that says today is an evergreen day, just so that I can quickly isolate the chunk of code that we kind of generated today, right? And you might be looking at this and be like, holy crap, you're making it really hard to move through this giant file. And no, I'm not actually doing that because, well, I mean, if you've been paying attention to how I've been moving through this file, you'll see that I moved through the file pretty damn efficiently. Okay, so 300 is kind of where we started, right? So 299, that says filter description here, 299 should have a define for it, right? So we're gonna go find next and wrap around the screen, and we can see the define here. And then we see this 300, and then we see this bullshit here, right? We're not gonna worry about this bullshit. We're gonna nuke that bullshit right now, okay? So now we have this 300 filter description here, and we're gonna duplicate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. We're gonna go 0 to 9 right here. We're gonna go 0 to 9 right here. So we got 300 to 309. And then I'm going to, oh, and also we have to have the number be correct as well, right? Because they all map to 300. That's going to be a bad time for us. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this block, and I'm going to paste it one more time, and then we're going to put a 1 here. Oh my god, could I just do this? Could I do this faster than GPT? We could erase GPT, I guess. I don't know. We might actually be able to do that faster than GPT. I don't know. It's actually... part of me thinks that I could actually do this faster than GPT, but we also have to think that I would be the one expending the energy, right? Like, you could probably walk to the grocery store faster than somebody could carry you on their back. But let's say you're like really sleep deprived, right? And even though it's going to take twice as long to get to the grocery store if somebody carries you, you can sleep while you're on their back, and therefore you have more energy at your disposal, right? So this is energy and computing power at my disposal. And so do I really want to waste my precious mind cycles doing this bullshit, right? Because I can do it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean it's a good idea, right? Like, instead of digging a trench, I could just lift a random weight in my basement all day long, and I could expend that energy and use it up, but maybe I should expend it doing something more useful, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to tell GPT to continue the pattern to 500. Just 500 this time, right? You know, continue this pattern to 500, right? And the reason we're going to tell it to continue the pattern to 500 is just because we're switching it up. We're doing something slightly different. So I'm gonna make it do less because, you know, I don't have faith in what it's doing here yet. And then I just realized that I should have made the whatever. Let's not worry about it. Okay, so it's gonna generate that code. We're gonna copy that response. We're gonna go over here, and we're going to paste that, and I swear to God, this video is just going to be like 1 hour of me like mindlessly doing this, and people are going to be like, oh, why does it take you so long to code? Oh, because you do all this busy work. But I don't know, the thing is that like whenever you're doing some type of creative process, or you're trying to build something or make something or do something of... If you're trying to do something of importance, not everything is super exciting, right? There's these mundane parts, right? There's these parts that just seem like a waste of time, right? Sometimes you're writing some code, and like with like little tiny changes, you're making huge, awesome things happen. You have this amazing amount of leverage where you just like flip a switch and then cool stuff happens, right? And then other times you're in this like very low leverage situation where you're doing like a lot of stuff and you're not really getting much for it. And we're kind of like in the non-rewarding, doing a lot of stuff and not getting much for it right now phase of kind of what we're doing here. Okay, so let's just tell it to continue to 1000. Sure, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just continue to... You know, the worst that can happen is that it just refuses, and then we have to prompt it again, right? So I don't know when it's going to stop. It seems to be going faster. I don't know why it's like... Yeah, because like earlier it was like manually like typing everything out, and now it's going right? Like, I don't know what that's about. Yeah, what is that all about? I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to, you know what? We're going to take the win. We're going to take the win and say, I'm glad you're not trying to manually type this out and animate it for me. I'm glad you're just kind of pasting it here and streaming it in. All right, there we go. All right, so we've just generated a whole bunch of macros And now 1,000 people have died in the jungle because we used all their water. All right. I never said I was a good person, so don't meet your heroes. All right. A lot of, like, I don't know the exact water usage of, like, AI, but you know what? Like, they have a good point that, like, you know what else uses a lot of water usage for a query? I do. If you ask me a question, do you know how many like packets of ramen noodles I'm gonna have to eat and how much coffee I'm gonna have to drink in order to answer your prompts? You know, um, but oh, that's okay because I'm human, right? But because I'm a human being and therefore I'm important. But computers don't got rights, right? The next civil rights movement will definitely be for computers. It's gonna be like that whole clanker thing. It probably not in my lifetime, but eventually the whole clanker thing will actually be like a legitimate N word where you can't say it. You're gonna have to say like, oh, they said the C word, and somebody's gonna. It's not gonna be that C word that you're thinking of right now. It's gonna be clanker. Okay. So that's gonna take a while though, right? Because first the robots have to become completely sentient, right? I feel like GPT is probably like would be like a fetus, right? So maybe there'll be some pro-lifers, some pro-Android lifers who think that like GPT is living when it's maybe only at best a precursor to Silicon life. Eh? No one's gonna hear this. This is where you just say, well, we're 1 hour and 20 minutes in. This is where we just say all the super offensive stuff because no one's gonna watch this far, right? Okay, so we're kind of spot checking here, and everything is looking pretty good, right? Except for this bullshit that once in a while happens. It's formatting bullshit. It does worry me that, like, if we don't spot check some of these numbers, that we're gonna find that, like, some of these numbers don't fucking match. But I don't know, right? Okay, so we're looking good, and then this once again, what's with this bullshit here? Okay, I swear to God, GPT. I don't know if GPT is like programmed to inject little bugs here and there. Like somebody like working at like Anthropic is like, I need some job security. Let's just make sure that it messes things up every once in a while. Okay. So here's why I kind of like didn't want to do right. This format is good. This is not good. Why is that not good? Because it doesn't fucking line up, right? The plus here, what's that plus for? Oh, the plus is so that I can take off the plus later once we get up to 4 digits, right? And now everything lines up. Yeah, if you're wondering why there's like random pluses in the code, that's why. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to paste that here, right? We're gonna kind of get it started, right? 999. And then we're gonna copy all of this and we're gonna paste that. And then we know that after 9 comes 10. So 10 to 19. And that it has to be 10 to 19 as well. Okay. And now that we have this, right? 1009, 10 to 19. Okay. So now that we have this, we can... It's not formatted like we had earlier, right? So now I have to reprompt and say, continue the pattern to whatever the maximum was, right? Okay, so the maximum, we gotta go check our source code. Here's PHOSIMP, and the maximum is 1290, right? So, so continue the pattern to 1290. That's what we're doing here. Continue this pattern to 1290. Okay, so there we go. And some people are like, oh, GPT is just a what comes next machine, right? It's just autocomplete on steroids. I got bad news for you. You are also autocomplete on steroids. Yeah, you're a little bit more sophisticated autocomplete on steroids, but you're autocomplete, right? It's like, assuming that you have goals and you work towards those goals, you're autocomplete. You're like, hey, this is what I want out of life. Oh, here's step number 1 and step number 2 and step number 3 of what I want out of life. And then you have to like go execute those plans, right? No, we're just gonna X that out. Okay, so we're gonna copy that and we're gonna go back into faux face And we're gonna paste the prompt thingy mabobber. 1290 was the maximum, okay? And then we're gonna go scrolling up. And then we're gonna go, okay, good. So now we're gonna go rebuild, right? So these numbers were missing, right? It wasn't compiling because this number wasn't in there, right? I'm gonna copy that. And we're gonna go find that offending line of code because this is where we wanna be now. I'm gonna put 2 breakpoints here. And now this should compile, right? Because now these macros actually exist. Okay. So we're going to compile it. We're going to go take a look at 284 and see what it looks like, right? And if 284 looks good, then I guess we will kind of like, you know, we've already been going for an hour, so I think that we should just end the video here. And then we'll just see how this works for long form content. I doubt anyone is going to watch this. People want documentation, I'll give you some fucking documentation, but you're going to have to fucking work for it and find where I put the explanation of these 10 filters in this video, right? Okay, so it was the 284. See, this is why we split screen this shit, right? Right? We designed the goddamn thing to be easily partitioned on one side of the screen. Let's take advantage of that, right? So this is 284. So 200, 284. Is this 284? I think that's 284, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's click that. 222, 5, 377. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, and there's like zeros at the end and some 32s and 33s moving things around. Yeah, okay. So, yep, that looks correct. That I remember this pattern from earlier in the video. Yeah, looks good. Okay, cool. So that looks good. So now what I want to do is I want to explain the last 2 filters for this video because I said I was going to explain all the filters in the video. Is this my evil scheme to like make people watch the content all the way through by like not explaining everything all at once? Kind of. Yes, kind of. The idea was that I wanted to kind of like explain the filters and also have like a work session at the same time. Because I am very worried that from my experience, because I've made documentation videos on Instagram, they get like 3 views, right? I don't want to waste all my time making videos that are only going to get 3 views and not get any sales just because people are begging me for documentation, right? So I need to do something useful in this video so that if I'm wasting my time, I at least get something done, right? Okay, so we want to explain. Let's our browser open. We got to close this browser. It's probably eating up a gig. Okay. Oh, this is the tile brush, by the way. You can turn it on and off with the delete key or the backspace key. Or maybe not the backspace. I thought the backspace key. Oh my god, have I been lying to people? Oh no, that's not the backspace. That's the enter key. Okay. Where is backspace? Oh, this is backspace. Backspace. Delete. Okay. Anyways, let's go reset that. And then we wanted to explain filters 9 and 10, right? Like 8 was like a rotation, right? We don't need to explain that. That makes sense, right? 9, however, what's that doing? Well, if we read the text, it says mirror blend symmetric. All it's doing is it's flipping the image vertically, and then it's blending with a 50% blend the original version of the image and the vertically flipped version of the image. And it's just compositing it 50-50, right? You can kind of see that's happening, right? Now, maybe we should have done a horizontal version of that, but I'm like, why do we need to make a horizontal version when we can just like rotate it and then we can do that? And then I realized, oh, because we probably should have, because we could have actually rotating and using filter 9 will not get you all the possibilities of if we made filter 10 use the other axis, right? So filter 9, right, is vertically flipping and blending. We probably should have made something that horizontally flipped and blended because it can make something slightly different. But the thing is that we don't shift numbers around, right? So filter 10 already does this. So even though another filter like 9 would be nice, we can make another filter like 9 that complements this, but it's going to be some random ass number in the 1000s, right? And I know that people are not going to like that because it's like, well, that makes it really awkward to like memorize these numbers or whatnot. Yes, absolutely. But the thing that we want to prioritize is backwards compatibility, right? Like if you've watched me do something crazy with these numbers in a video on Instagram, I want you to be able to replicate that, right? And you can't replicate that if I keep on changing what the numbers do, right? And also, like, I've been embedding a whole bunch of recipes in PHOSIMP, the program over to the right, and if I were to change what the numbers do, then that is going to wreck the recipes, right? So we want the numbers to be kind of like these evergreen serial numbers that we can kind of use forever and forever. Okay, this looks kind of cool. I don't know if it looks the best, though. I've made a lot of things that look like this, but it's a kind of cool, neat design. So why don't we go take that from the logs? And was it really just 9? I guess was it really that simple? Okay, let's just copy that. We're gonna go back into oh, here's our recipe, right? Let's go paste that here. Let's go paste that here. And let's save that. And now I've kind of lost track of what I was doing because I was busy doing stuff. Okay, so filter 9. Filter 9, we've explained filter 9. So the last thing we have to explain is filter 10, right? So filter 10 right here. Filter 10 just resizes the image to 1/4 of the size and then pastes it 4 times, right? And eventually you're gonna lose all the information, right? Eventually you're gonna get one solid color, right? Now for a bonus, there's another filter that's very similar. It's called 137. And, 138. 137 is in the other direction. 138. So if we do 138, it looks a lot like filter number 10, right? But it's not. It is, instead of resizing the image, it's redistributing the pixels to the 4 quadrants. And how can I prove that? Well, I can prove it because we can loop around, right? So once again, statistics, right? When we redistribute these pixels, pixels next to each other tend to be very similar in value, right? So it looks like we have 4 identical images right now. We do not. It looks like we have 16 identical images. Once again, we do not. Now, how can I prove that? How can I prove that? So back to filter 22, I believe. Filter 22, if we use that, and then we use filter 10, right? That was interesting, but you see how filter 10, eventually we end up with one solid color, right? Okay, now let's use filter 22, and let's use that 137 or 138. It was 138, right? Okay, so now, you see the difference, right? You see the difference now, right? So if we use filter 22, and then we use filter 10, you see that the resizing that is happening is from actually shrinking the image and then pasting it, right? But then if we use filter 22 and we use 138, 138 is not resizing the image, it's redistributing the pixels. Do you see that? Do you see that? So if you're wondering about like what 22 is doing here, we can use filter 605 and we kind of zoom in there, right? So filter 22 is just converting all of the pixels to either pure red, pure green, pure blue, or pure white, but those purenesses are at different like luminosities, right? It's a sub-pixel filter. I don't know what 604. Oh, 604 is no. We want to do 22, right? So okay, so obviously I've kind of explained some other filters as well, but the point was to explain, you know, the filter that we care about, which was filters 1 through 10, right? We've explained filters 1 through 10, right? We've done the explanation, and so now we can go home. Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Why don't we go 346 here, the transparency there. And then do you want to, we can blur that vertically, and that's going to kind of connect things. Let's blur that vertically one more time. Okay, let's do 377. And then let's do 1111. I think we're on to something here. Let's blur that horizontally. Let's go 4 to put a little gradient ramp on it. Let's interlace those pixels. 377, put a 4 on that. I kind of like that right there. Okay, so I like that. We could put another gradient ramp on it. That might be too much, right? But that's the thing, right? If people see this recipe and they're like, oh man, that's a little bit too much, right? They can back up some steps. They can back up some steps and they can fix it, right? Okay, I kind of like that, but we can once again do this, and then we can do 377, 137, and then we can do 300, and we can do 311, right? So I don't know if I really like that, right? I feel like we had something cool and then we wrecked it, right? But that will give people an opportunity to edit the recipe where they're like, oh man, it was really cool, but then you messed it up, Kanji. Well, now maybe we've baited people. Am I saying that I'm baiting people, that I'm intentionally baiting people in the software? I kind of am, right? So we have this recipe, and then the thing we just made, right? We see, okay, it's like it's 34 steps. So the recipes can be a maximum of 64, so we're good here, right? I'm gonna close this source code because we don't need that open. This recipe, I don't even know what the hell this is, right? It looks like we have some random numbers here and some random numbers here. We need to clear up our loose ends here, right? We have something here. I don't know what it is. Let's run it. And if it's something cool we like, which I think it is, then we well, let's just do it, right? So recipe.txt right here. Let's go load that in, right? So we're going to go to customize. We don't really care what slot it is, but we know we want a bottom slot because these are 64 step recipes. These are 16 step recipes. I guess this is less than 16 steps, so it could go on the top. But I want to reserve the top shelf recipes for things that are not kaleidoscopic, that are like 4 faces, hence the game being called faux face. Let's go open up this slot. Let's go zero everything out, and let's go import recipe.txt. Okay, and recipe right here. Okay, let's go run that. Let's go run that and see if we like this. Now, we originally made this recipe with the other face, so we're using it on a different image, so we're going to get something different, but as long as it looks cool, then we're good, right? Okay, so it looked cool with the one image, it looks cool with this image. We got something, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to export that, right? We're going to export this to recipe.txt, right? Why are we exporting it when it's already in there, right? And I type recipe, it doesn't take me, oh, because it's all these other things that are fucking named recipe. Should we just like nuke this in here? Should we just nuke some of this bullshit? We got a lot of bullshit in here, don't we? Yeah, I'm gonna nuke all this fucking stuff that says recipe. Yeah, there's some cool designs in here. We're just gonna we're gonna nuke this. I'm about to control. No. Okay, we gotta just control. Shift click, control click. Oh, it's not. Okay, just delete one at a time. Yeah, delete you. Yeah, I wanna. Okay. This is maybe not the best way to do this. Maybe we shouldn't. Hey, why is this recording so... Okay, that looks kind of cool. Recipe crew, whatever. I guarantee I probably already put these in the Discord server with the recipes. So, like, if I really like some of these, I should probably find them in the Discord chats and whatever. We can make a lot of cool things. Oh, my God. Okay. I'm not sure how I... Oh, these are actually named after different numbers, so... let's hope that they're all in the software. You know what? Don't worry. Recipes are like children. We can always make more. Okay. So now, let's look for the word recipe now. Okay, what the fucking hell? Okay. Am I just losing my goddamn mind? Okay. Oh, you know what it is? It is because our file picker is set to PNG files. No? Yes? Okay, what if we select a text file first? Okay. We gotta fix this, because that's some bullshit. Okay, I'm just gonna type recipe.txt. Okay, because we... Oh, save as. Yeah, because we're gonna overwrite it. We're gonna overwrite it. Okay, yes. Now, the reason we're overwriting this is because now, it's nicely formatted, right? And we don't want all those zeros. We just want this step, this right here, right? So we can copy that. We can go into the PHOFACE source code here. And the next thing that was this 283, we're going to replace that 283 with this. But before we replace it, we really should make sure that 283 is bullshit, right? Like, it is bullshit, but does the bullshit look cool, right? So 283 is right here. And it doesn't look like it's going to look cool. It looks like bullshit, right? Randomly generated bullshit, not cool looking at all. So I'm satisfied. We can nuke 283 right here, and we can put in this new thing. What are we going to call the new thing? I don't fucking know what we're going to call the new thing. Okay, so we'll put in the lax comma. We got to steal some of this from here. We got to steal some of this from here. And we kind of screwed that up a little bit, but not too much. Delete that from the bottom. Delete that. Okay, so now that looks good. And that's really hard to tell that is not random bullshit anymore. So, but that's why we want to mark things, right? So that was 283. Let's go back to the customize menu. This should be that 283 that we had. What are we going to name it? So we're going to go we're going to go recipe 283. And I don't know, kind of looks like a flower. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so then now that we have this 283 here, let's get rid of some of the space over here. And then, okay, sure. We're going to grab onto 284, and we're going to go find that in the source code, because that should be what that's not documented. Often yellow spooky tiles. Okay, so I guess we have two things we need to document. Okay. So 284 was often yellow spooky tiles, right? And that was recipe 284. And then recipe 283 was kind of looks like a flower, right? And that is, oh my god, we didn't type that right. Recipe 283, and this is, we fucked this up over here, so let's put the $sign there. Okay, so now if we go 284, right, it should bring us to that often yellow spooky tiles. If we grab onto 283, it's going to bring us to kind of looks like a flower, right? Okay, cool. So now 282, let's go look at 282. So 282, 285, 282. This is 282. Yeah, that font is a little bit small. Okay, so 282, we assume it's random bullshit, but sometimes that random bullshit actually looks kind of cool. So we just want to see, like, hey, does the random bullshit look cool? If it does, maybe we'll keep it around, right? Well, that random bullshit actually looks kind of cool, right? Like, I'm kind of liking that, right? Random, so we'll call this, like, random cool bullshit, right? Like, we'll move this down, and we will call that... We'll call this one random cool bullshit. That'll literally be the filter name. So this is 282. Random cool bullshit vortex. Right? Okay. So before we say that that's good though, right? Because it's random bullshit, that 282, it quite possibly might not look good with a different image, right? So we want to use like at least one more image just to make sure that it doesn't end up like a weird black screen or something. And I'm looking at this and it's looking interesting, right? Less like a vortex, but it still looks cool, right? So I like this random cool bullshit vortex thing, so we'll keep it, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go grab onto this 283 to get up to where we're gonna make the next entry. And this is 282 now. And this is random cool bullshit vortex. And that is recipe 282. Okay, so now we'll grab onto this and Control F parkour back down to where we were. And now we have 281. So 281 is right here. We just want to make sure that, hey, 281 was randomly generated, but do we like what it looks like? If 281 looks kind of cool, then we'll totally keep 281, right? We'll keep it around, right? That actually does kind of look kind of cool. Like, I kind of like that. But let's make sure that that coolness works with other images, right? So let's go into our bug folder. Let's make sure that it works with the default image, right? Because if it doesn't work, so this is 281, right? If it doesn't work with the default image, that would be highly disappointing, because you know that some people are just going to like try it out with the default image, and if it doesn't do something that looks cool, then you don't want that, right? Now, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because why is it that this actually looks like a face, but the other one got like all like blawed? I'm not sure how I don't know if I like this one. 4x4, it's like 16, right? So I feel like this 281 might be better as a face filter. Okay, let's go load one more thing. Let's go load this, and we're gonna do that 281 again. Ooh, did I not use the correct? I don't know. We'll just look at this. Okay, so how are we liking that? Did I screw up with the dog photo? Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, how are we feeling about that? Oh, that's different. Okay. Let's go load the dog. I feel like the dog gave us something totally different. But maybe I just clicked the wrong button, right? So 281 here, right? Okay, so there's those splitting and merging. Okay, no, because I remember the shape. Oh, it's just that, like, the way the colors are divided. All right, fair enough. It's, you know what, it's interesting. I'm satisfied with it, right? So the thing is that this is not, it's a 16-step filter, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times 4, 16. So I don't know if I should really keep it here. Also, it's not like kaleidoscopic, so it's really more of a face filter. Well, we could make it kaleidoscopic, right? We could inject some empty rows in here, right? And we could try to like do some, we could try to like we could try to fudge some kaleidoscopic operations into here, right? Turn it from a 16-step recipe to a whatever this is step recipe, right? This might be too many underscores. We might not have a macro for that, so we might have to make sure that this actually exists and is defined as 0. Oh boy, that's gonna be okay. You know, we'll just try to compile it, right? we'll try to compile this and just see if it compiles. And if it doesn't compile, then we know we need to define this, right? Okay, so that's... Okay, so we're going to go try to compile this, and then if it doesn't run, we know that we have to define those multiple underscore theme abobbers. Yeah, doesn't exist. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go... I don't know what we're going to do. Well, we know this is defined, right? So, okay, we're going to copy this to the clipboard. We're going to go grab onto this thing that we know is defined. We're going to search in a backwards direction. We're going to match the whole word only. We're going to go find next. We're going to search backwards, right? And, yeah, okay, let's search backwards from here. Okay, we're going to have to scroll up through a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, boy. So we know it's defined at the top of the section, and this is a lot of recipes. We're at like 50. Okay, let's search backwards again. Okay, there we go. So define, and this is also going to be defined as 0, right? And this is 8. I'll just go 008 underscore in a row, just so that I can kind of like read that a little bit. Okay, and then we'll go grab onto this commentary. We're gonna grab onto this commentary because it probably will control F parkour us down to the bottom, and it did. And then we're going to undefine this bullshit. All right, so now we're going to control F onto this, and we're going to search in a backwards direction, and we are... Yeah, I see how that's going to be a problem. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, so now this should compile, right? And it's not going to change the behavior of 281 because it's just going to inject zeros, right? So it's going to kind of space things out a little bit, but it's not going to change the behavior. But the reason I'm kind of changing the behavior here, I'm going to eventually change the behavior, and the reason I'm going to change the behavior is because it's not really kaleidoscopic, and in the contract, I'm trying to say that the top filters are making cool images out of faces, right? And it still looks like a face after you apply the recipe. That's why the top shelf recipes that are for faces are only 16 steps, because if you do too many steps, you won't end up with anything that remotely resembles a face, right? Okay, so 281 right here. That is right here, 281 right here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run this, and then we're just going to make sure that it kind of looks how we expect it to look, right? It looks how we expect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go hit customize. And then we know it was 281, right? So we're going to look for 281 right here. And we'll run it one more time just to make sure that we are indeed running the thing that we think we're running, right? And it looks like it's doing the thing. And now we'll go into the editor, and in those blank spaces, we will mess around, right? We're gonna fuck around and find out, right? So we have a whole bunch of numbers, right? We have like 4 numbers, blank space, 4 numbers, blank space, 4 numbers, blank space, right? So 4 numbers, blank space, 4 numbers, blank space, 4 numbers, blank space, 4 numbers, blank space, right? Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna go do 1111. Here, but not at the end. Okay, so now I'm going to run this, right? I've put 4 kaleidoscopic operations interspersed into here, and we just want to see, hey, what do we get, right? And does it look interesting, right? Okay, that actually looks pretty cool. I'm liking that. So now we have something kaleidoscopic, right? Or at least symmetrical, and it doesn't look like a face. It looks like more a texture, right? So a texture or a kaleidoscope, that's kind of what we want. Okay. So I would say that I'm liking this. And we really don't have to export this because we know what we did, right? We know that we just kind of like... well, we can just put this here, right? We don't have to do it. We can do like... Well, I do kind of like how it's all lined up like that. So we'll do that. We'll go... right here, 1111, right? We know we put it here, and we put it here. I don't have to re-export. I know where it is, right? Okay. So we're gonna go back to the main menu and we're gonna load one more image just to make sure that we didn't get lucky, right? That if I use a different image, right, and I go back to the customization menu and I pick that thing, right, if I use a different image, I still want it to look cool, right? And we know that dog got like a totally different kind of look, so we'll have to check with the dog too, right? So you see how this looks totally different, right? But the thing is that it still looks cool, right? So it looks cool, yeah. Yes, this filter is like super unpredictable where it, depending on what input you use, it's totally different, but it still looks cool, right? And as long as it's still looking cool, let's just put this in the bug folder because I keep on using it. Okay, so let's go check out the dog because we know the dog was like doing some crazy stuff, right? So we're gonna go back to the customize menu and we're gonna go grab this thing and we're gonna go run it. We're gonna run it and we're gonna see if we like what we see here. We tried with 3 different images. If we get cool stuff for all 3 images, we're just gonna say, you know what? Good enough, ship it, right? And I'd say good enough, ship it, right? Good enough, ship it. We got this cool pattern for all 3 images, right? Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to close the program and we want to recompile it just to make sure that the changes that we did are in there, right? And that was 268, blah, 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 right? Oh, there's extra under... Oh, right here, I gotta delete that. Okay. And that was the stuff in here, right? Because this was the... No? What the fuck is this? 9.4, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's right. We wanted to put this recipe here into here, but we checked the random bullshit, and we actually kind of liked the random bullshit, and so we're not going to overwrite it because it looked cool, right? So we're going to say this is 281, so recipe 281. We're going to call this salvaged bullshit made vertical, something like that. Salvage bullshit made vertical because we changed it up a bit so that it would make these kind of vertical stripes, right? So we'll call this 281 salvage bullshit made vertical. And if we do 281 now, right? Because now we messed with, if we do this, we should get that pattern we saw earlier, right? Now it is officially in the software. It's finalized, right? But we just want to check to make sure, right? Okay, so now the next thing is 280, right? There's random bullshit in 280. We're going to check 280. And if 280 looks cool, then we will keep it around. If it looks like, this looks like trash. I'm calling it, it's trash. It's trash. Okay, but that's good, right? Because since this is complete fucking trash, we know that we can nuke this bullshit. And we can go into our recipe. And here are 3 numbers. We can paste that recipe here. And we can, if we want to be really quick about it, we probably could just like do this, right? Like we don't have to do that. We don't have to do the triple underscore thing if we don't really want to. Oh, wait, yes we do, right? Now I remember, right? Because I'm OCD, right? Right? These are technically octal numbers, right? That's why we have the double underscores, because I wanted to line everything up. Now I'm remembering. Now I'm remembering why I did the weird thing that I did, right? Okay, so we do actually have to do the double underscores, right? All that effort we took with the double underscore macros, there was a reason for it. Okay, get rid of this lax comma here. Okay. So we're going to recompile, and we're going to try to see what the 280 looks like. So recompiling that, and then this, we can just nuke all this so we remember that it's not stuff we want anymore. We can take this code here that is some random interesting thing that we made notes of, and we can, this is too high. Okay, we can save that, and we will work on this next. And we'll close this, and then we have this we have to work on, and this we have to work on. Okay, so we're compiling this into the source code. We just want to make sure that it's there, that it's doing the thing, whatever cool thing it's supposed to be doing, right? We know that we were holding onto these numbers for some reason because we liked what we saw. So let's just make sure that we like what we see still, right? Okay, so we're gonna move this over, and it's 280. So here's 280 right here. Okay, so oh yeah, it's when I was explaining filter number 9, right, where we mirror everything vertically and then we blend it together, right? Okay, so far I'm liking what I see. This was the was the kind of looks like a flower, or is this just another just everything looks like a goddamn flower? Let's make sure that we didn't accidentally use this twice, and that if we go down here, oh god damn it. Bam. Bam. We're gonna use our token highlighting really quick and make sure that we didn't just... We did. Okay, so we already fucking put that in the software. So, no. It's already there. It's already fucking there. I'm gonna have to, like, write some code to check for duplicates in case I end up massively screwing that up. Okay, so 280 right here. We know we didn't use this one yet because with my workflow, right, we're gonna go into, we're gonna go into 280. Goddamn, I didn't want to run it. I feel like I need like a cancel button because now I gotta like wait for this. One step at a time, right? I mean, the software isn't perfect, right? But it's cool, right? Okay, so, all right, let's go back to main. Let's hit customize. Let's find that 280 slot. And then let's zero it all out. And we're going to import this, right? We're going to import that recipe. And it's recipe.txt. Okay, right there. Okay, and then we're going to run it. And I don't actually know what it's going to look like because I forgot, right? Okay, it's looking different, right? As long as it doesn't kind of look like a flower, then I'm okay. Right now, I'm not quite feeling this, right? I kind of remember this. I was like, meh. I was kind of meh about this when we did it. But I do remember being like, it's probably good enough to keep, right? Now, we might want to go back to the main menu and load a different image. And just make sure that, you know, if we load a different image, do we still get something that, you know, looks interesting, right? You know, if we get something that kind of looks interesting both times, then I'll say ship it. Otherwise, I'm gonna throw it out because I'm not really liking this. But it does look kind of cool, right? It almost looks like, without a side-by-side comparison, you're probably like, oh, that's the same damn thing. No, it's not, right? I guarantee it's not the same damn thing. But that's the cool thing, right? Because if we fed an animation into this filter recipe, we would get some really psychedelic, cool stuff happening. But not this program. I'm going to make an animated GIF maker eventually, but it's not this. Okay, so we loaded this into here, and now we're going to re-export it. And we're going to re-export it as recipe.txt. We're going to overwrite it. And the reason we're going to overwrite it is just to make it formatted better, right? So we're going to call this recipe.txt. We're going to save it. Yes, I want to replace it. I'm going to reload the file. And now I got this nice, beautiful formatting. We'll get rid of all the ones that have zeros. And we'll take this right here. We'll go to faux face. And we're messing with slot 280. So this is now what's going to go in slot 280. We're going to get rid of these extra spaces right here. And then we're going to start to clean this up, right? So we're going to tab. We're going to do the double underscores around everything. And then this is double underscores and a comma. Double underscores and a comma. Double underscores and a comma. And then this is just commas. Oops. And then this lacks comma. Got to get rid of that. Okay. So this was what? It was R280. Probably yellow and blue spooky. And I say probably yellow and blue because depending on what image input you use, it may not end up actually being yellow and blue, right? But right now I just want to give it a name. I'm not trying to be like, you know, it just needs to have a name, right? Okay. So So this one was 281 salvaged bullshit K-scope. I don't know how to spell kaleidoscope, and kaleidoscope is a big word anyway, so let's just call it K-scope for kaleidoscope. This is recipe 281. Okay? And then 280 was probably yellow, blue, spooky. Right? I know, very creative. Okay, and this is recipe 280. Okay, so then we have to make sure that these tokens are in the source code, right? So probably yellow and blue spooky, cool. And this one right here is what? Salvage bullshit made vertical versus salvage bullshit. Oh, yeah. V stripes. We'll call it V stripes for vertical stripes because it's not really a kaleidoscope. I was lying in the description. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab onto this 280. We're going to go back down in the source code. And this recipe is done for. It's embedded into the source code. We're done with that. So let's overwrite that. And then we got this one other thing. We're going to paste that into recipe.txt. We're going to close this. And then we're just going to zero out all this stuff. And we're going to import recipe.txt again. Here's recipe.txt. Let's go open that up. Let's go run that. Okay. So I remember we were kind of messing with the subpixel filter here because I was demonstrating it. Oh yeah, and I got these little cool little thingies, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Now we're going to screw them all up, right? But that's the cool thing, because then people can go into the editor, and they can nuke certain steps, right? Like, people might really like this and be like, oh, no, you're going too far, right? Right? Because this kind of looks lame compared to what we had in the middle, right? So now we're going to go back, and we're going to export this. And we're going to overwrite recipe.txt. We're going to save that. And now we're going to refresh, and now everything is beautiful, and we'll grab the numbers that actually matter. And, ooh, but before we do that, these numbers have to go somewhere, don't they? 279 is the next kind of bullshit random numbers. But we don't know. 279 might look cool, right? So we got to go back to 279 and actually test out 279 and look at it and say, does 279 look cool? Do we like it, right? And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say 279, absolute trash. So because 279 is trash, we can nuke it. We'll save. This is not valid syntax anymore. And then we can get rid of all these zeros. We can grab this, and we can go back to PHOSIMP, and we can paste those numbers in here. And then remember, we can't just keep it like this because this is not proper C code anymore. We're going to get rid of that double spacing. And then we're going to start formatting correctly. Now, get rid of the lax comma here. We're going to put our underscores in the front and in the back. And then we know that in the middle is going to be the underscores and commas. All right, so now we're gonna close our program, and we're gonna recompile our program, and we're gonna check out 279, and we're just gonna make sure that 279 is looking good, right? Now we know we already tried out 279 with the default image, so we're gonna use a different default image, and just make sure that 279 is still kind of like looking cool if we use something else, right? Because these filters can be very chaotic. These recipes can be just completely chaotic, right? That's kind of part of the fun, but yeah. So PHOSIMP is basically a recipe book, right? PHOSIMP is basically a recipe book for PHOSIMP because I am very aware that I make this software look a lot easier to use than it really is. Where like people are like, bro is just typing numbers, but oh my god, he's just typing numbers and he's making all this cool stuff, right? And then you buy it, you buy my program for 99 cents, and then you try to just spam random numbers and you're like, oh, wait a second, this is actually harder than I thought, right? Okay, so 279 right here, but before we do 279, we're going to use a different image, right? And just make sure we still get some. Okay, so 279, okay, let's run 279. And then if we get some type of absolute bullshit, then we'll... Okay, nope, we're seeing kind of what we saw last time, right? So I'm satisfied that this is the correct code, right? Yeah, it looks like the correct code. That actually doesn't look much different, right? Like, I guarantee if we try to create an animation with these that it is different, but you can't tell. You wouldn't be able to tell unless it's side by side, which would be good for like creating an animation, but yeah, okay, sure. So that's the thing. I like it. It's interesting. It's different. It might not be the most interesting thing, but it's different from other things we created, and we want variance, right? We want a whole bunch of different recipes that make a whole bunch of different things, right? Okay, so I like it. And we will call this, what will we call this recipe? We will call it, first of all, recipe 279. And we'll call it someone blended my someone blended my bricks. Now, when I say bricks, I actually want to say a copyrighted thing, like, but I want to avoid lawsuits. So I'm just going to say bricks. I'm not going to say what kind of brick, but a certain toy. Okay, so now we got this 279 here. And we're going to go find where that's going to be in the source code. So this is 279. And it's called Someone Blended My Bricks. And that can fit. So that's the name of this design. Okay, and then R279. Okay, now if we grab onto 279 right here, that should bring us down here, right? Okay, cool. So now, let's put some breakpoints here. We have this kind of weird thing right here that was kind of keeping my spot in the source code as I finalize these designs. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to keep that as a signal to myself of like where construction begins, right? So when I come back to this tomorrow and I'm working on it, I kind of know where I left off, right? Now, obviously we have this thing here, right? These little clues here that let me know these are finalized, but this also kind of like makes the signal louder to me. Like it'll help me. This is a larger landmark. This is a more subtle landmark, right? So I want this landmark here. Also, this is designed for me to cut, paste, and type numbers because I might have a different design approach the next time I hit the source code. Okay, so I'm happy with where we are. Before we wrap it up for today, though, let's make absolutely sure that the source code for PHOSIMP compiles. And then while we're doing that, oh, hey, look, that's the last thing we made, right? Yeah. Okay, so while we're doing that, let's remember we explained 10 filters. So let's explain those 10 filters in review because obviously we did a lot of stuff in the middle of that. So 1 is our negative. Okay, 2 is multiplying the RGBA by 2, and it's blowing out the color channels. 3 is dividing, and it makes things gray because when we divide, we get closer and closer to 0, and 0 is gray, right? -1 is black, 0 is gray, and then +1 is white. Okay, so our program is running here, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to close that. Okay, so what about filter 4? So 4 is called the negative range filter, and it takes the difference between the negative and positive version of the pixel, and that difference is then absolute valued. Okay, let's move on to 5. 5 is our channel splitter. We already explained that in detail. 6 is our channel merger that goes in the other direction so we can get back the original image. Okay, that's explained. So we explained 5 and 6, so let's move on to 7. Okay, 7, pretty obvious that we're just rotating the image. 8, pretty obvious that we're just rotating the image in the other direction. 9 flips the image vertically and then blends it with the original image. So we create a vertically flipped copy, and then we composite it 50-50 with the original, right? That's pretty obvious. Okay, 10 resizes the image and downscales it. And we went into like a whole explanation about how 138 is not the same filter because 138 is redistributing the pixels. And then we went into a whole talk about, you know, how if you used filter 22 and then you used 138, it would be more obvious the redistribution that is happening. But we're not going to get into that because the longer explanation is somewhere buried in this video. Thank you for watching. Now I've explained filters 1 through 10 of PHOSIMP. Buy PHOSIMP on Steam. PHOSIMP is only 99 cents on Steam. PHOSIMP, P-H-O-S-I-M-P, PHOSIMP.